But yeah, I noticed with me as I got older, my mind, it was really with me, the clarity and like, man, where did my energy go? Where did my youth go? Because that to me, like you look, if you can remember back when you're like, 10 years old and you think the vitality you'd wake up with.
You're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
Oh, hey there, friends. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Berardo Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Tony Berardo. Today's episode, we shall talk to a gentleman that I found on the TikTok. His name is Dane, and Dane has some really interesting content. If you haven't seen him before, you can find him at The Real Soil Connection, and his really main focus is to just reconnect nature and healthy living with fellow humans. So we had a lot to talk about regarding health, wellness, and overall social media's impact on said topics. So this was a lot of fun. So everyone, please help me welcome Dane. I mean, listen, man, I'm especially with what the shit we're gonna talking about. Like the fact that you're outside, I'm digging it. It's perfect. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Well, and I noticed pretty much all your content is outside, which I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, with a username, The Real Soil Connection, if you're inside,
Right. That's exactly right.
But thanks for taking the time, man. I appreciate you. I don't know if you looked at kind of my podcast and stuff, what I do, but I have a background in marketing, management. I own my own company. But this podcast I've been doing for about 3-4 years now, and it's all about health, wellness, financial health, mental health, physical health, social interaction. So I like to have guests on like yourself that have a passion for certain topics, and hopefully we can get out to the masses with right now I'm only at about 3,000 subscribers, but I'm hoping to continuously grow and just kind of spread the word about mental health and physical health. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Where do you think the most of your subscribers come from? Just curious.
I think word of mouth, like my Instagram following's decent, but I'm just starting to ramp up TikTok, and I know you got a big following on TikTok. That's like the new thing. So I'm glad I'm investing time into that because I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a lot of word of mouth. YouTube, I got a decent following as well, but it just kind of happened organically where it was just like me talking into the mic myself. And then eventually I started having guests on about a year and a half ago. And that's all I do now. Like that's my full-time gig, that and content creation. So now that I left my corporate job and I'm doing this full-time, I got some big plans for it. So.
And what did you do? What was your corporate thing?
So I was in the beverage industry for almost 15, 16 years. I worked at Coca-Cola for a while in sales.
Okay.
And then I got a job at Monster Energy in marketing. And it was
perfect.
Yeah. And we could definitely talk about that. But so it was interesting that I was in that world because I've been plant-based and vegan for quite some time. I didn't really consume energy drinks at all, unless they made us like at conferences and stuff. But I mean, aside from that, like it was very hypocritical. So I got laid off for something stupid, not surprisingly, by a big corporate job. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, for sure, because now I can actually do what I love and that I'm passionate about. And it was kind of like a long time coming. So it worked out well.
That's cool. I'm chasing signal here. So TikTok is where it's at. I think, absolutely, for this kind of content.
For sure.
And
I mean, that's where I found you, and I have a background. I was a personal trainer prior to me working in beverage. So I've always had a passion for physical health and mental health. But that's where I found you was TikTok. So it's interesting how things do change, because I remember just 6 months ago, I was on Instagram all the time, and that's where I consumed a lot of content. But now I post on Instagram and that's it. I don't scroll on Instagram.
Right.
It's interesting how if you're Instagram, because you see Boy on TikTok doing his like Instagram creators and hey, we're helping Instagram creators and those stupid videos that the CEO of Instagram does. And he'll post shit on TikTok, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
he'll try to explain, hey, we want to do this for the creators and we want to do, and we're like, bro, the only reason why people like Instagram is because of the photos, and you're taking that away,
Yeah.
making it TikTok, and you're not going to be better unless they buy TikTok. That's the only way this thing's going to work.
Yeah. I'd like to see that.
Oof. Yeah, that can't happen. I hope it doesn't happen. It's interesting, man. It's evolved for sure just in 2 years, but I always had this conversation with like fellow creators and stuff where could you imagine if there wasn't a pandemic?
Right.
Right? Like, would TikTok be what it is today? No.
Right. Right.
Because everybody was home. I remember when that first happened and it first transitioned from Musical.ly to TikTok. And, it was 2019, 2020. And then everyone's at home just fucking scrolling and doing stupid dances. And we had nothing to do, right? Because of the pandemic.
So how did you? So what videos did you see that? I'm curious what caught your attention for me.
Ooh, it was so long ago. I honestly don't remember. I think I probably saved it, but I think it was something to do with making your own drugs, your pharmaceutical. I forget what drug you put up there, but you put something on.
Was it banana or was it the avocado? Probably one of those.
It was avocado. Yeah.
Avocado. Okay.
What drug was that though that you were talking about?
It escapes me off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
It's okay.
Starts with an A. It'll come to me.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
But yeah, it was that. And then I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I just started looking at all your content. I was like, this dude's outside all the time. And yeah, just, it's that to me, anybody that can, especially the fact that I've been plant-based for almost 4 years now. I had to do it for health reasons. And I just didn't limit.
How come?
Well,
Like what?
yeah, I mean, my listeners probably are sick of hearing it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Quick version. Quick version.
So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
Okay, yeah. Typical deal, inflammation. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
And for me, it was just like I had to do an elimination diet to try to figure it out. And doctors had me on medicine, and they're trying to give me Humira and prednisone and all this bullshit that they typically
steroids.
Do. Yeah.
Yep.
To try to help and
push it right back in. Push it back in.
Seriously, yeah. And my case is very interesting because unlike a lot of Crohn's patients, if they eat like hot food, they got to like run to the bathroom. Me, I'm the opposite. Me, I can eat whatever I want. Everything's fine. And then eventually my intestines get just clogged up, like, because my scarring is at the very bottom of my intestines. So it gets clogged up and then I get backed up and then I have to go to the hospital within hours. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. So it gets pretty gnarly where I got to get pumped out, and it was happening a lot, a couple times a year. Of course, they recommended surgery and all this stuff, but after a bunch of medication like Humira and things, and I was getting some bad reactions, I'm like, let me just see if my diet works. And I cut out red meat, and I was still having issues eating chicken and fish. Then I cut out chicken and just eating fish. I was still having issues. And then I decided, let me do plant-based. Fuck. Let me try this. God damn it. And then I did it, and I shit you not, man, within weeks, I wasn't having, I lost a lot of rosacea on my skin that I had, which, people don't know your gut is almost as strong as
everything.
Yeah. Like I would even venture to say, we don't know a lot about the brain, but I think in 10 years, 20 years, we're going to figure out that the brain and the gut are very, like from an intelligence standpoint, on a cellular level, I think they're neck and neck. It's because it's all.
I think the gut's above it.
Ooh,
we already know
like
this, but we're not supposed to know this.
Shh. All right, well, let's get into that, bro. Let's talk turkey on that. Yeah, because that to me, like that was the big thing that really it opened up my eyes a little bit on this podcast, because I had a lot of experts on, especially people talking about functional mushrooms and ayahuasca, and I got into like these deep conversations that I realized we don't know shit about the mind or the body, and especially the gut. And I'm just like, all right, if that's the case, let me control what I can control. And if I know what I'm eating and I could put in my body that I know what it is and it's natural, then I would imagine my gut and my Crohn's is going to be affected in a positive way. There's going to be no negatives that come from it. And I'm like, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, whatever, I'll go back to eating cheeseburgers. And sure as shit, taking care of my body and doing a lot of cold plunges and sauna, meditation, going outside and just walking barefoot first thing in the morning, get that circadian rhythm, just these little things that I was doing over the course of a couple years. I have not been to the hospital for my Crohn's in almost 2 years by doing all this.
Boom.
And
There you go.
it's who knows
There
if
you
it's going to
go.
last forever, but right now it's fucking working. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yep.
And
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. It's the food. Of course, the other things do. I mean, the movement. It's all about magnetism, and that's the thing that is the no-no topic, by the way.
Ooh.
But food that is alive has magnetism. It has electricity. It costs more than it gives. That's what I was looking for. So when you eat dead foods, meats, things like that, it costs the body more than it gives. And the body eventually gets to the point, like in your case, or even my case, we may not all be at that level, but I think most people who eat, or most Americans who eat the American diet, they eat dead food. We all get to that point where it starts showing up in some way. You know, I mean, how old were you when it started happening to you?
Probably 30.
30.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm approaching there within a year. So, and I started noticing my body changing probably when I was about 25. I mean, I ate typical American diet, you know, meat. I thought meat was the holy grail. You know, loved T-bone steak, hamburgers. But yeah, I noticed with me as I got older, my mind, it was really with me, the clarity and like, man, where did my energy go? Where did my youth go? Because that to me, like if you can remember back when you're like 10 years old and you think the vitality you'd wake up with. And when you tie that together with like saving your seed, which I'm sure you know about, it's all about magnetism, the electrical component in your body. So if you can strengthen that, then your cells can get stronger. And I was going to ask you when you talk about grounding, I was going to ask you if you had a grounding mat, because grounding at night when you sleep obviously would be the best time. So yeah, you can just get little they're like silver, they're like laced with silver, and you just sleep on them at night, and man, they make a huge difference.
Really?
If you look into grounding, the real science behind it, of course they don't want to do very many studies on this, but, you know, anything that heals, that really heals, it's not going to get the attention. It's just not going through. There's no money in it. You know, money is in the sickness.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's obvious when you look around and you look at yourself, you look at every time you go to the hospital. I mean, everything's set up for the doctor's convenience, the nurse's convenience, but not the patient's. But I don't want to go down like the negative path. That's not my intent, but you still have to be aware of it and know, you know, what you're feeding into. So, but yeah, back to the grounding. Whenever you sleep grounded, or even when you're standing on it when you're not sleeping, it acts like an antioxidant. So the electrons, the free-flowing electrons come in, they scrub your cells. They're like a scrub, and they clean them out and they charge them back up. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. I notice it now when I sleep, and when I sleep grounded, when I don't.
Wow.
But anyway,
and
yeah, just kind of.
Yeah, and do you do that under your sheets, or is it?
Yeah. So
right.
it just no. So you have to be contact, right? So the way to understand grounding is just like have a little basic understanding of electricity and conductive materials, right? Like, you know, if you put your hand on a hot iron, you're going to feel the heat transfer into your hand, right? Energy. Well, the same thing is true when you're laying on it or when you're stepping on it. So you have to be in contact with the minerals, ideally, or like if you're on grass, it needs to be wet. And that's how you get the electron flow. But even though there is still a conductive ability when there's not, you know, a lot of water, but it's better, you know. But when you're sleeping, yeah, absolutely, you want to be completely contact. And you could do a test for yourself. So this is not just all woo-woo. This, you can actually look this up. Get an electrical meter and put the negative component on like a ground, right? And then touch the positive to your finger while you are not grounded. And so what's going to happen is this negative force, the negative ground is going to flow through your body, and on the other side of the electrical meter is going to read a voltage. Guaranteed, you will have volts running through you. You know, with all the electromagnetic smog, you can't help it unless you go way out, right? Yeah. So now put your foot on the mat, ground yourself to the same ground that the electrical meter's on. Your body voltage will almost go down to zero. So this is the key. Wow. You can test this stuff, and yeah, the more contact you have, I've done tests with myself. Like whenever I'm on my computer, I always ground myself. I've noticed I can be on my computer a lot longer because any kind of bad radiation, it pulls it out, right? You don't become the conduit anymore. It immediately goes out into the ground. If you're connected to the ground, right? Yeah. You are. So it's just a loop. All a ground is, for anyone who doesn't know about grounding, it's just a loop back into the earth. You're attached electrically to the earth. It's literally that simple,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why when you're standing on it, you're getting that same effect. But yeah, I guarantee sleep grounded for a week, you will notice a huge difference.
No shit. Okay. And then, so how'd you get your start? Like, what's your background? What's your experience?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I grew up, I would say, in a pretty sick family. You know, if you're an American, I think most people have enough things going wrong for them. You just can't help it. I mean, it's designed that way. That's where the money comes from. Some sick other members, Crohn's disease, a lot of gut issues in my family, herniated discs, really bad acne.
Mm.
But it didn't show, like, it doesn't show, like, what didn't show until way later on in life. We're talking 40s, 30s, 40s.
Of course.
I was lucky in the fact, I guess, that I didn't have to go through it personally, really on a really intense level as a young age. But I did have other issues, like I would have skin issues, like on my knees, they would ooze and stuff. And this is when I'm like in high school. And my parents were at least smart enough to know that the medical system doesn't heal you. They just give you, symptom reduction.
Mm.
And especially after going to doctor after doctor after doctor, you learn it. Like, they can't help me. This is the same thing. They do this over and over. They just give me another drug and they say, oh, well, we think it's this. And then they make up some name to classify you, to give you an excuse why you can't get better. It's kind of that clicking and seeing that, observing and just seeing the misery around me. And I thought, man, that this is not it. This is not it. It's like, it takes half a brain to see it when you go through it, right? But when you haven't gone through it, the first thing you do, because of fear, is you're programmed to run to the hospital. Run to the hospital, they'll save me, And it comes back to this fundamental responsibility. You do take responsibility for your health, or do you act like a victim and you give it away to somebody else? And when I get sick, they'll just give me something for it, or they'll cut my organ out, and I have this many years to live. I'm a victim. So I just saw that mentality and I thought, I refuse that. I'm not doing that.
Dude, and that's interesting too, because I mean, David St. Clair talks a lot about this too. I don't know if you follow him, but he talks a lot about aging. He's the aging guru, and aging is a sickness, and
Right.
it's a sickness based off of, not in his words, I'm paraphrasing in my own words, but I've always, my wife hates this when I say it, but everything has a shelf life.
Yep.
Right. And everything from the food you eat to this planet, everything has a shelf life. It's going to end eventually, most likely, or it might evolve into something different. But, your body has a shelf life, and the more bullshit you're putting in it, the faster you're going to age. The reason we talk about these diseases and stuff that show up when we're in our late 30s and 40s, it's because your body is aging. Aging is a disease. And as you're getting older, your body can't handle fighting off these diseases that are coming.
Right.
But that's not because you're
The abuse.
That's right.
The abuse.
That's right. And it's not because you're getting old. It's because the food that you're putting in your body. Like, go to Europe. Right? Go to Europe and look at those centenarians that are living to 120, and you ask them what their diet is, and they're like, it's a pasta and spread and it's wine. And you're like, what the fuck? How are you doing this? And it's only because their bread is different than our bread in America.
It's electrical. It's alive.
Yeah, dude. And
that's the only difference. That's the only difference. Our food is dead. It's packaged in plastic. They grind the wheat up
and preservatives,
and then they remove everything out of it, and you get dead food.
Yeah.
There's no electricity in it. There's no magnetism in it. That's the difference.
I mean, dude, even just look at something that every single ingredient has on this planet that we make in America anyway, and that's sugar. Look at sugar as a whole. We don't even take real cane sugar and put it in food. We artificially make sugar so it lasts longer on the shelf. Because
and concentrates it.
Because if we have a longer lasting sugar, that means we can have more product on the shelf that lasts longer. And that's a good sell for Walmart and Publix and Winn-Dixie, because when you have those things that last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're most likely going to sell those things. So the store will buy these items in bulk. But you look at like my dad makes his bread at home, and it's the best bread you'd ever have
Yep.
because there's 3 fucking ingredients, and he bakes it.
Yep.
But he's like, Tony, you better eat this today. And I'm like, why? He's like, it's going to be moldy in 3 days. So either
Yep.
freeze it
Yep.
or you got to eat it right away because it's that good. And then I'm like, oh, so that's why.
It's alive.
Yeah, dude, it's alive.
Yep.
It's a real.
Things can grow on it because it's alive. When it's dead, there's no biology. Nothing can happen to it.
You ever see those videos on, speaking of TikTok, but I saw this wild video of this like chick who grabbed a McDonald's burger and she let it sit for like 15 years. She recorded this whole thing. You saw that? Oh.
Yep.
And it didn't change. It didn't.
Yep.
The cheese looks the same. Of course, it is brown, but I mean, in terms of like the texture and everything, nothing happened. The bread didn't mold, and you're like, we put that in our bodies. Right. Whoa, it's gnarly, dude.
But what's amazing to me, it's so amazing, is just how much abuse our bodies can take. I mean, it's just incredible when you really think about it. I mean,
preach, bro.
I mean,
preach.
We could eat that, man. People can eat that, and they're still okay, and they do that for years,
and
until they can't.
Yeah, because again, it's your body. It does have that shelf life, but it is amazing how we are able to adapt. Like the body's so incredible. Like even just getting cut. Not too much of a pity party for me, but I just had a tumor that was found in my lung last year. And it was benign, thank goodness, but I had to get a portion of my lung removed. And so I had about a third of my lung removed. And just what I went through from a recovery standpoint and how hard it was. Because, of course, the second I leave, I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, but the second I leave, they try to give me Oxy. And I'm like, no, I'm good, thanks. And they're like, well, it's going to be painful. I was like, I know. It's going to be painful, I know. Yeah. But I go, you know what's even more painful? Losing my job and my house and my wife because I'm hooked on a freaking opioid. That's worse than the pain I'm going to go through. Like pain is good because that tells me that I'm alive. My body's alive and I'm good. I don't want to feel numb to it, right? And of course, the second I get home, I kind of regretted it because it was the worst pain of my life. But I got through it and it's fine. But the recovery, like I was working out 6 months later. Of course, I'm still getting stronger as I go through, but the fact that—
Could you breathe? Did you have a hard time breathing?
Yeah, it was garbage. Yeah, my body definitely had to get used to it. I could tell as I was, because I'm very active, I could tell as I was breathing that it was new. It was like a new, what's the best way to say it? It was like a new batch of air. Like my body wasn't used to this little amount of air going into my lungs. So like the normal activity that I would do, even just going up and down the stairs, I had to get used to that because I would get winded a lot faster, and I could feel the pain of my right lung. But it's crazy just the fact that I was able to get through that, and I always thought to myself the entire time this was happening, I was like, if I was like a fat, unhealthy piece of shit, I would not be able to recover this quickly and this good. That to me is terrifying because for people out there that are just eating whatever they want and they're not doing the little steps to make their physical and mental health the best it could possibly be, when you do have these circumstances in life, whether it's a disease or it's the surgery, or if you have to outrun a saber-toothed tiger one day, like, don't you want to be the healthiest you could be? Like, it's crazy to me that people don't think this far ahead, but I also look at the flip side where it's like a cheeseburger's delicious. So I get it. But
you pick your pleasure. That's what I've learned. You either pick it in food or you pick it in the things that you do.
That's interesting.
It's really that simple.
Yeah.
Because food's an addiction. I don't know what you know about fasting. I'm huge on fasting.
Oh yeah. I fast
fasting
every day. Yeah.
Fasting to me is what really showed me that. I did a 48-day fast, and it showed me just how much we're addicted to stimulation. Mm-hmm. And you realize that food is that stimulation, but it can be anything, right? But for most people, it's food. But what you realize when you start removing food and you start putting your attention, on other things, you'll find that you get the same dopamine or whatever, feel good from doing things. And what you find when you start eating, that goes away. You're like, why am I lazy? Why don't I want to do things? It's because you're getting it from your food.
That's right. That's so true.
Anyway,
and I do a lot of intermittent fasting. I haven't done a 48-hour plus in quite some time, but I know the huge benefits to that. But even just intermittent fasting, I tell a lot of people, as long as you can talk to a nutritionist or someone who knows what they're talking about that can write you out something, because you got to be careful, like when you're doing intermittent fasting in particular, you know, do your first meal right after that, whether it's a 16-hour fast or if you go a full day, you got to be careful with the stuff you do eat. So I always tell people, get with a professional, not a doctor, but get with a professional like a nutritionist or an herbalist or something. And even just intermittent fasting, to me, you'll see great benefits. Like from a production standpoint, doing a 16-hour fast, I do that every day. Maybe sometimes I'll go 20, but my last meal is like at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and then I don't eat until lunch the next day. And even that alone, you see massive benefits. Like people don't understand your morning productivity is going to skyrocket just off that. And people are like, well, you know, I want a productive day. So I want to have a nice breakfast. And I'm like,
Right.
dude,
It's exact opposite. Whatever you've been taught, it's exact opposite.
yeah, not
It's
surprisingly,
that simple.
not surprisingly, right? Like, why would they tell us something that, like, imagine if research came out that says you don't need food. Just let's put it out there. Like ever, you don't need food ever. Who is that going to benefit from a corporate standpoint?
Right.
Every single food company will go out of business. So even if that was true, which it's not, I'm just saying hypothetically, even if it was true, no one's going to admit that. So it makes you think maybe companies are out for their own good. Just maybe. It's possible. And the faster we realize that, the
And
better.
even if they are, we can't. What I've learned is we're not victims. You know, we need to stop thinking like a victim. You know, they're trying to make money, but it's we have to take responsibility for ourselves. If that happened, it doesn't matter. They can do whatever they want to do, but it's not going to work. That's why it works in some countries and it doesn't work in other countries because of the mindset.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say it like that. You're right. Yeah, because we're not the victim. Because we always try to, you know, especially even people on the plant-based vegan side. Sometimes I hate that culture because they're always blaming big dairy and a lot of that is true. But also, these are hundreds of years of families trying to get the American dream, quote unquote. And, you know, they ended up starting a big company. And maybe it's called Tyson Chicken. And they have farms and families and salaries and healthcare and all these employees that they rely on. They're not going to just stop the company because a couple vegans are protesting. Like,
Yeah, right.
you have to understand, these are companies. Like, they're not going to stop for you. So that doesn't mean they're right, but they're trying to do their own thing and get through this thing called life as best they can. And it might be the wrong thing to do, but that's not your problem. Just like me being vegan isn't your problem. Whatever I do and whatever you do are two totally different things. You got to make the own decision that's best. You got to make the best decision, rather, that's best for you. And the faster we do that and quit listening to all these big companies and playing the victim card, like, just do the right fucking thing.
Yep.
Right?
Just do the right. Just take responsibility and realize, you know, they're making food. You know, you're lucky that someone is doing chicken. You know, you could be out doing your own chicken.
Ooh.
So,
yeah, dude.
you know,
right
if you don't
on.
want to eat chicken, don't eat chicken.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, if you want to be free, let other people be free.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, a lot of people are going to say, Dane, well, but I don't have time to make my own chicken.
You make the time.
Make time because it's important, right? Like, I guarantee you watch The Kardashians. I guarantee you watch that new movie on Netflix. You have time for that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, the best thing I ever did was stop watching TV. The absolute best thing I ever did. Stop watching movies, get your subconscious back. Because the first step is to get your subconscious back. Because you don't realize you condition yourself every time you watch TV. And you break that addiction, man, that and food addiction, you're free.
So, bro,
you can do everything.
So hold on, Dane. So you don't watch any TV?
Nope.
Ooh.
I don't watch any TV.
Tell me more about
the
that.
I will make one exception. The only TV if I did watch TV was if I went to a family member and they had like a football game on. I might indulge for about 10 minutes of that.
Yeah.
You know, once in 6 months or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But no, I don't watch any TV. I don't watch any shows.
Wow.
None of it.
So
it doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve me. You know, it's a good way to waste time.
Unless it's a podcast, and then that's fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unless it's a pot, but that's not. In my opinion, that's not TV. When I
Yeah.
say TV, I mean like watching a soap opera on TV.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm huge on TikTok. I watch TikTok, so
Yeah,
if it's good media, it's good media.
absolutely.
But you have to be honest with yourself and say, is this actually programming my subconscious for good?
Mm,
Do I feel better tomorrow because I watch that, or do I feel worse because of that? Is this programming me with creativity or with fear? Because that's basically the two options I see. For everything that I watch, I look at it through that lens. Is this helping me, become aware of something and to create something, a solution to this, or is this just making me afraid?
yeah, that's so true, dude. And it is a lot of what we consume, and people don't understand that the algorithm's based off of things we like.
You,
Yeah,
yeah, based on what you
yeah.
watch.
So like the more bullshit you consume, the more bullshit you're gonna see. So if you
Yep.
can switch your mindset and consume good stuff, but it was some comedian that said something on a podcast that I was listening to, and he was like, everyone's complaining about the algorithm and social media, and it's so dangerous, and there's so much negative on social media. Have you ever tried an experiment of 30 days, just follow and like a bunch of puppy videos? It's like, just follow a bunch of puppy videos, watch puppy videos, like puppy videos, just only consume that for 30 days. And he goes, your social media after that is going to be nothing
Be
but
all
puppy
puppy.
videos.
Yeah.
So he goes,
Yep.
social media isn't bad. It's you.
Yep.
You like the
Yep.
bad shit. So that's what's happening. That's what you're getting fed.
Yep.
And
It's a mirror. Everything's a mirror.
Yeah.
Everything's like that. But it all comes back to responsibility.
Mm.
Either you choose to take responsibility for your life, or you're going to blame something else. It's that simple.
That's right.
On anything. It could be food, social media, people, whatever.
Yeah. Responsibility. Well,
Responsibility.
well said, dude.
The basics.
Yeah, dude, the basics. And so last thing before I let you go, because we're already at like 30 something minutes, I want to be cognizant of your time. What's a day-to-day life for Dane? You wake up in the morning. Give us a quick rundown of routine to help some people.
Yeah, so the first thing I do, and a lot of people hate this, I got a video taken down for this, so definitely don't put this up unless you want to get your video taken down. But one of the things that I do, and I absolutely love it, and it's completely changed my life, and it's out there. It's like my fasting. People don't like hearing this. The truth, they don't like it. But I go and I sun gaze. I look at the sun. As soon as it comes up over the horizon, I look directly at it, and I look at it for about 30 minutes. Yes, I'm blind. Obviously, I wear glasses. That's what people always give me a hard time for.
Because you look at the sun.
But no, it makes a huge difference. I feel a lot better. It helps. You go look at the yogis and stuff. They talk about it. You go look into this stuff. But I do that, and then I do my breathing. I'm huge in Wim Hof. I'm sure you know Wim Hof.
Oh, yeah.
But I also do pranayama. So I do like just through the nose, couple minutes. Like this, and then I do nostril.
Mm.
To balance left, right side of the body, clear your sinuses. I do that for a couple minutes.
Okay.
So I do each. It varies every day. I don't have like a set prescription, but at least 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I do Wim Hofs, which is, most people know Wim Hofs, but it's fully in. Breathe fully, let it out, relaxed, and then you cycle it. And you do that for a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get lightheaded, you'll get high, whatever you want to call it. You might pass out, so don't do this while driving.
Yeah.
And you will feel like you'll feel great. I mean, you really will. You'll feel great. And then on your last one, you'll stop breathing. You'll hold it. You can hold your breath for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Yes, after about one round, you can do this because you're super oxygenating your body. There's more to it than that. I absolutely love these things.
Yeah.
Every day I have to do them because I'm like everybody else. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I have to keep beating my drum. If I don't do those things, I'm not as productive.
For sure.
So after that, I'll start writing down. Normally ideas will start flowing to me. My brain starts working better, and I'll start writing ideas for videos. Or I'm working in the garden every day. I'm planting something, or that's the things that give me meaning. And yeah,
That's great, man. And you have your own garden at home?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely we've tried that for sure, and we have a big plan to build a garden on the side, and that's the way to go. If you can get even just start with herbs and
Yep.
cilantro and parsley and just little things.
You can grow those inside.
Yeah,
You can grow
exactly.
those inside.
And then move it off to outside tomatoes and all those big things, lettuce, but start small and just having those seasonings and using those instead of like dried cilantro. Just that alone, you get a taste of that, man, and you're like, there's nothing better. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And don't buy it at the store because
Yeah.
they have it at the store and people are like, well, I'm just going to buy it at Publix and Winn-Dixie and the cilantro there.
Right.
No, dude, there's something special about it's no different
It's
than
got the electrical.
Yeah.
It's electrical. It's straight. It's been charged by the magnet of the sun. And you have that magnetism. So when you eat it, that's why it tastes so good.
Yeah.
It's electricity. Look into Dr. Sabi. He's not a doctor, but that's what he's called. And he talked about all this. He goes really, really deep.
Dr. Sabi?
Yeah, Dr. Sabi.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. But yeah, there is something special about that, man, for sure. I mean, you got to look at it like the less amount of food and things you do that people touch, that's going to be better for you. That's the easiest way to do it, right? Like your cilantro that you grow at home that's powered by the sun above you, or in this case, that's actually physically inside, but you're doing it yourself versus cilantro that's picked and then traveled in a truck that's full of gas and who the fuck else knows? 1,000 people are touching on the way from where it got planted to where it ends up in the store.
Yeah, but not just that. It's been sprayed 100 times with chlorine and fluoride by the time you eat it because they have to keep misting it to keep it alive. And so all this and the time, it loses its electrical component. It's a life component.
Yeah.
So grow your food. It's not that hard. When you really do that, I replace my TV and my video games with growing food outside.
Yeah.
Make that your game. You have to make the game of the good things.
Yeah.
And your life will change.
Yeah. Well said, man. Dane, this was good, man. I definitely want to do it some more because there's a lot of topics we can get into for sure. And then of course, I'll send you all these links, and the videos when I get them edited and stuff like that. But where can people find you? What's your social media?
Yeah. So it's at Soul Connection on TikTok. I'm doing YouTube, Facebook. I don't really like them because they censor too much. But I'm still going to get on there because I know I should. But yeah, mainly just TikTok for now. And then of course the website Beyond Link. You can find everything that's very helpful to me and all my recommendations and also books, free books, PDF books that you can go very deep. And I wish everyone the best, to be healthy and to take responsibility because it's up to you.
Well said, Dane. Well, dude, thanks again so much, man. Enjoy that sun. I'm jealous. I'm about to go head outside myself. So thank you for the time, brother.
I'll see you outside next time.
Yeah, dude, let's do it.
Bring your mic and your computer outside.
Sold. Done deal.
Yeah.
All right, Dane, I appreciate you, man.
You too. Bye.
Oh, hey there. I'm glad you made it to the end. Thanks for checking out this video. I'm sure you're going to like all the other podcasts that I've done. You could check out some more videos right here, whether you're watching on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. I would love you forever, even more than I already do. And tell a friend who needs to hear it. Until next time, we'll see you later. Peace.